I'm ready.
You said when I hit the live recording. Sorry, everybody. That is how the spaghetti gets made.
Oh, I had some great spaghetti over the weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
That was Nick's Spaghetti Corner. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to episode 210 of the All the Book Show, recorded at the David A. Howe Public Library. We talk book news, author news, literary news. Mark Twain.
And Mark Twain sometimes.
I'm Eric Mickles.
I'm Nick Gunning.
And with us is Mark Twain.
Not really.
Hey, everybody.
Not really.
Mark Twain here.
But we are. Is that your Mark Twain?
It's a pretty good one, I had to say. This is a good Mark Twain.
No, I don't
This is a
think
pretty
so.
good one.
That's very like bayou heavy. I don't really understand.
Where do you think I live? Mississippi. Mississippi.
Okay.
I tell you one thing about Mississippi. I can't spell it, but I sure do love it.
Can I just give you one note? I don't think it works for Mark Twain, but I love the voice. I love the voice and I love the character. So I want to find an avenue for that, but this is not the right one. Listen, folks, today we're going to be talking about Samuel Clemens, a.k.a. Mark Twain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Did you not?
No.
Oh, okay.
I dropped out of high school.
Did you really not know that?
No.
Wow. I'm sorry you guys had to hear that. Mike Randall is coming to the library on September 6th to do
too many
an
names at me now.
in-character presentation as Mark Twain. So we've had Mike in the past. He did a Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol a few years back.
Right.
Always popular. There's got a lot of excitement about this event. So we thought, let's sit down and talk about Mark Twain.
Yeah. Do you that's how we can compare. We'll go to his thing, listen to how he talks.
And see which one is right.
Yeah.
And then next year could be Eric Mickles as
Could
Mark
be me
Twain.
on stage.
You don't even know his real name, Samuel Clemens. So I think
No.
it's gonna be a steep learning curve for
Yep.
you. But I'm okay with it if it works out. That's coming up a little bit later. So right now, why don't we dive into our bookmark?
All right.
I was going to suggest you go first, but things always go haywire when that happens. So
No, I'll go first.
Will you?
So I read
Great.
The Punisher.
Oh, yeah.
I read about 6 hardcover
Yes.
volumes of The Punisher, about 12 to 18 issues in each of those volumes. So I
Yes.
read 6 of those. There was a Comixology sale. The Marvel Unlimited app, in which I read most of my Marvel comics on, does not have Marvel's Max line, because to do so, they wouldn't be able to get the all ages rating
Oh, yes.
on the app stores. So they don't put that there. But there was a Comixology sale on Punisher. So I got the 6 volumes and I read them all.
Why did you want to read this deep, dark Punisher run?
I like the Punisher.
Okay.
But here's the problem. I bought 6 of them because they were on my wish list on Comixology.
'Kay.
However, there is a volume 7 of 22
Yeah, you're
issues
gonna
by
have
Jason
to-
Aaron where Punisher deals with
You're gonna
this
have to do about
version of
that.
Kingpin and Bullseye, and I did not know that, and now the sale is gone. So now I got to wait for a while for that to go on sale. 22 issues. I just didn't even know they existed.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. It's because it was Punisher Max, Frank Castle the Punisher under the Max imprint, and then it went back to being Punisher Max one word.
That's too much.
Yeah,
I
comics.
know I talked about Green Lantern for 45 minutes a few episodes back, but
So
that was too much.
like the first 3-4 volumes of this are
Okay.
Garth Ennis. He wrote a whole bunch of different Punisher
Yeah,
stories in the
familiar.
past.
Familiar
So
name.
this is like Marvel's Max line, so they can be the violence is a little bit gorier, the language
Ugh.
can be cruder, and all this stuff. But
Gorier for the Punisher.
yeah,
Wowzer.
I had actually read like the first 3 storylines when I was a teenager.
Okay.
But I reread them again. I hadn't really remembered how 2 of them went, but there was one that I was specifically like had a memory of where he has to go to Russia and everything. Good stuff. I gotta say, it was like my comfort food for a while. It got in the way of me reading a whole bunch of X-Men stuff, but I did read Cable and the New Mutants by Louise Simonson and
Okay.
technically Rob Liefeld as well. This is like Cable's first appearance in any X-Men books.
Oh.
In the New Mutants, he shows up. Did Shatterstar show up at the end of this? He might have showed up
You're
next
asking the wrong
after
guy.
this.
I don't know.
This takes place right before Extinction Agenda. So this is just
Okay.
Cable showing up. But it's just funny because he doesn't have like any powers. He's just a big man with a metal arm and a big
The
gun.
Marvel Comics hero Cable,
yeah.
as recently seen in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Just for some context.
Anyway, I liked it. There's a lot of like early 90s, late 80s X-Men stuff that I've been reading that I hadn't read before that I'm really digging.
Nice.
And then I read some Mark Twain, but we'll talk about that later.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
we
what
will.
Oh, I saw the movie Ready or Not.
Oh, how was that? That's like a horror movie?
Yeah, it's a horror movie. She marries into this family. She has to play hide and seek, and they're trying to kill her. It's in this like big cool looking mansion with
Like
this
the
kind
David
of
A. Howe Public Library? Does it look
Yeah,
like the
a
okay,
little.
okay, cool.
it has like this kind of steampunk aesthetic at times, but like they never do anything cool with the house. There's never any like, what's this room, or like going through a bunch of weird hallways or anything.
Okay.
It's just like there's a few dumbwaiters and a kitchen.
Dumbwaiter.
There is a dumbwaiter in the anyways, but then like like halfway through, it just stops being about the house and it just becomes like a horror movie that's not there really.
Okay.
It's not as funny as it wants to be. It's not. I don't know. I didn't like it, and the violence and gore that happens in this movie, I did not enjoy.
Weren't a fan.
No.
Okay.
Here's the difference,
Yeah.
because people are probably like, he just talked about 6 volumes of The Punisher.
It's true.
In The Punisher, in a comic book, I know somebody just took out their red marker and scribbled it a little bit.
Yeah.
In the movies, they're making it look as realistic as they can.
Yeah.
So my eyes are closed during that.
Yeah.
I can read something where somebody's like, oh no, I spilt the purple with the red. Oh well.
Yeah.
It's guts.
Yeah.
So I assume that's what guts look like, purple and red.
Purple and red.
Marker.
Okay.
But it has to be like Crayola and the big marker with like the tip. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't like this at all.
Okay.
That's what I know.
So I didn't like Ready or Not.
Okay.
That's it.
Is that it for your bookmark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I am playing World of Warcraft Classic.
Important to get that in there.
Important to get that in there.
Thank you.
World of Warcraft came out in 2004. Whole bunch of expansions came out, basically like changed the game at its core. So now they've re-released Warcraft Classic, so it's just like it was in 2004 to 2006. I tell you what, it doesn't help that I'm also rewatching Scrubs at the time.
Yeah.
I do not know what year
It's
it
a
is.
time warp.
It's crazy.
It is a time warp.
Yeah.
For our listeners, I was only feigning interest, so I
Yeah.
apologize for that Warcraft rant that went out there.
I kind of like the Warcraft movie.
I know you do. Have
Yeah.
you read any of the books?
No.
We got quite a few of the books in the
I
collection
haven't
here.
read the books, but I did play the first game like all the way through.
Doesn't Timothy Zahn write some Warcraft books?
Probably. He writes some StarCraft.
I know he
books.
does StarCraft, but I thought he
StarCraft
did
is where
Warcraft
my heart
as
really
well.
lies.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's the place?
Yeah, StarCraft.
Okay.
But
What do you have to watch when you play through StarCraft again?
There's nothing.
Nothing?
They didn't make a StarCraft movie.
No, I mean, you were watching Scrubs,
Oh.
and that brought you back to the Warcraft era.
The Drew Carey Show.
The Drew Carey Show.
Yeah, to put you in a real
Moon
time and
over
place.
Parma, bring
Yeah.
my love. All right.
Yep. So
Haven't seen that in a long time.
yeah, Oswald and Kate would have been getting like engaged
I see.
at this point.
So you're watching a lot of Kristen Miller shows then at this time.
Guess so
Okay, cool.
you know what? She's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
she
don't.
is.
She's in
Cougar Town as well.
I haven't watched Cougar
She's
Town.
great in Cougar
I might
Town.
have to, but like,
Yeah.
where has she been since?
I don't know.
Because she's
She resents your question.
no.
but-
I'm just saying. She's funny in the Drew Carey Show,
Yeah.
and I forgot how funny and likable she is in Scrubs.
Yeah.
So like, it just seems like she's a wasted asset.
Yeah.
That Hollywood has.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. I'll look at her IMDb
Yeah.
page later. All right, I read some stuff.
what's Drew Carey about right now?
Price is Right.
Is that
he knows
it?
The Price is Right. Yeah.
Boo.
Pretty much. I read The Goodbye Quilt by Susan Wiggs. More on this author later, but right now it's under wraps. So that's a little hint.
Under wraps of
This
a
was actually
quilt.
pretty good. It's about a mom and daughter driving kind of across country to take the
Oh.
daughter to college,
Aw.
and the mom is finishing up like a memory quilt, and it sort of becomes
on.
a little bit more about the mom's journey. She's putting a lot of
To the
eggs in the
quilt.
daughter's basket.
Right.
It's really more like she's got to find her next step.
Right.
I thought it was very good. Very like
She
it was
an empty
compelling.
nester?
I liked it. Yeah,
So because you said eggs in one basket, bird eggs, empty nest.
Empty
or-
Nest.
Yeah.
Boy, I love the show Empty Nest with Richard Mulligan. You ever watch that?
No.
Okay, that was good. So I read The Goodbye Quilt by Susan Wiggs. My first by the author. I'm going to check out some for Christmas books.
You do love a Christmas
around
book.
Christmas, so stay tuned for that. I read Rainbow Six by Tom Clancy.
Oh hey.
This was a gift from Mr. Eric Mickles, and it was not great.
I don't know what to tell you.
You five-starred it. Here's my problem
Ha.
with the Rainbow
Wow,
Six.
yeah.
Okay. Rainbow Six is like an elite squad.
Yeah.
And John Clark is like the head of that squad.
Okay.
And then you've got, sort of underlings, and you've got somebody who's like his main lieutenant.
Uh-huh.
But the book sort of lacks a primary character, I think.
Mhm.
And you're following like Rainbow Six on these different missions that are sort of interconnected, but each one also feels very episodic.
Mhm.
So for like a 900-page read, I found it a little difficult
Mhm.
without a more concrete through line.
Right.
Because I sort of expected John Clark was going to be the main character in this, and he's really not.
Right. No, it's the Russian.
Yeah,
Really
Popoff
is.
is a little bit more of a
Yeah.
main. Yeah,
He's
I
the one
agree.
you're following through.
Yeah, he's the through line more,
Right.
but it's not really. It's like that happens by de facto. It doesn't feel all that purposeful that he's your main character,
Right.
and so I felt like there was just a hole in it that made it I don't know. It got to a point where I was like,
Right.
but I did it.
Well, I was probably in 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah.
I would have been in 6th grade when this book was like introduced to me because my friend was reading it because he was playing the video game. And then it was like high school age when I actually read the whole thing. So 18 or 19 is when I read it.
Okay.
So, to put you in another time and place of
Yeah.
when I would have been reading this.
Yeah. Well,
So,
now I know.
yeah.
Now I know. I do. I mean, it did make me want to sort of get into Tom Clancy a little bit because
Oh, snap.
I really like the Jack Ryan character, and I thought Hunt for Red October, despite all of its, I feel like it's so long. I do think he's a really intriguing character. This sort of like atypical action hero. I like that hook. So I've never read Patriot Games or Teeth of the Tiger, all that stuff. So I think I'll
I have
do that a little bit more.
to bring you back again to my past.
Do it.
Because I had read Rainbow Six
Yes.
and I had read The Hunt for Red October.
Yes.
I just started buying Tom Clancy books wherever I saw them, and I just had like a whole shelf of Tom Clancy books.
Wow.
Never read any of them except
You've
those
only
two.
read Rainbow Six and Hunt for Red October?
Yeah.
Same as me.
Yeah.
Wow. So we got to pick the next one together.
I have Red Storm Rising at home to read.
I'll read that. You want to read that?
Sure.
Is that John Clark or is that
I don't know. It might be Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. Okay. Well,
Might be none of them.
might be. So I read that. Finally, I've read a book that has been antagonizing this podcast for, I want to say, years now. Maybe since the beginning of this podcast. Not really. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Read it cover to cover, baby. Still massively popular. Still 60-plus holds on it in our system. It was a very good read. So I know. The synopsis that we're given, a woman who survives in the marsh is accused of murder, is such a weird, like, reductive one-sentence thing for what this book is about. Because it's really about this, like, very poor family who lives on, essentially, lives in a shack on the marsh. And one by one, the family kind of goes. And the last one standing is a 7-year-old girl.
Right.
And so she has to sort of make her way, like, into adulthood and feeding herself and taking care of herself. And it's immensely readable. So I understand why people are devouring it, because it really, I was never tired of reading it. I was never like, how many pages left? I was all in. That being said, I think there are some real criticisms to throw at the book because it's a debut novel. And I think some of the weaknesses of that are pretty apparent because there are certain things that are just like glossed over. You know what I mean? There are elements about her growing up and about her sort of maturing and transitioning into being adult that we just are never touched upon in the novel, and you're just left to assume, well, she probably figured it out.
Right.
You know, but I think, like, I don't know, I feel like a more seasoned writer would have been able to, like, really layer a more detailed, like, narrative up through. Not Tom Clancy detailed, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I do think that there's a lot of things that were just sort of glossed over for the sake of, like, a smooth story versus... And so that, to me, it bothered me a little bit. It was like in a movie where, you know, you're missing a lot of exposition and you're just meant to, like, assume. So I didn't really like that. And the murder element of it is a through line throughout the book because you have Kaya, like, as a child, and then you have, like, the murder thing happening. So, but I don't feel they ever really, like, coalesce. And the only parts that I was ever a little like, okay, were the murder segments. I just don't think it was necessary. I think you could have done this book exactly like it is and just excised that plot entirely and expanded a little bit to the parts I'm talking about, giving it more of a structure to it. So, yeah, I liked it. I understand why it's so popular. But I think there's some pretty fair criticism in there of how it was executed. So that's my hot take on the book that's been the #1 New York Times bestseller for over a year.
Woman, she's bought herself 3 houses and a yacht.
Yeah,
but
she doesn't
like,
she doesn't need my approval, but she does have it because I liked it. I read so many graphic novels that I'm gonna winnow this down a little bit because I've been reading a lot of My Friend the Green Lantern. I finished New 52 Green Lantern, started Rebirth Green Lantern with Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. #1. That was all right. That was decent. I've been reading a lot of comic book author Steve Englehart's Green Lantern run. Good classic stuff. I also read Englehart's Batman Strange Apparitions, which is a really cool 70s run on Batman.
Yeah.
It's just has this, like, a heaviness and a moodiness in a good way that really, like, propelled this story. And I thought, I don't know, I just have not read any other Batman stories like it. And it's funny that it's just like this handful of issues because it feels like this is the bold new direction of Batman. And I think in a lot of ways it was for, like, the shows and the movies. Like, that hook really has had staying power, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I read that, and then I read Batman Prey right after.
I haven't read. Is that Denny O'Neil?
No, Batman Prey. I don't know who wrote it. It was like one of the '90s ones. It's kind of like a sequel to Year One-ish or anything.
Okay.
Hugo Strange was in it,
Okay.
and then I read Batman and the Monster Men, and Hugo Strange was in that, and I felt like a lot of Hugo Strange happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Hugo Strange in this was sort of like coming back after a long absence.
Yeah, my feeling after reading Batman Strange Apparitions was like, can I get 8 more volumes of this?
I agree.
So
I agree. So let's see what else. I had a few other things there. I read my first Mega Man Gigamix Volume 1.
Hey, the Pog I gave you as a gift
Yeah.
is on the floor again.
Sorry. Let me just put it right up here. My son and I have been playing through all the Mega Man games, and so I read one of the Mega Man mangas that we have in the collection. It was fun.
Nice.
There's 2 stories in it. One was good, one was dumb.
Oh.
And then I read the first volume of Cyborg Volume 1, Imitation of Life. It was not great.
Oh.
It was fine.
Poor Cyborg.
They just can't quite find a hook.
Yeah.
I am currently reading Leia by Claudia Gray. This is a young adult novel about Princess Leia, Star Wars novel. I'm reading this with some friends. We're doing a sci-fi book club on it. And I'm reading Space Prison by Tom Goodwin.
Mm-hmm.
So this was originally put out as Survivors, which is a much better title.
Okay.
That's the original title, is Survivors. That makes so much more sense because basically, like, a planet's enslaved.
Ooh.
They're moving the population, and then there are people who they were like, you're not really worth our trouble. So you just, whatever. And so they're just kind of stuck, and they're trying to, like, I don't know, survive, basically, as survivors would do. So not so much a space prison, but survivors. I came across this on a site called Loyal Books. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Loyalbooks.com. So I actually first came across this in preparation for this episode. I had only read the Illustrated Classics.
Space Prison is Mark Twain?
No, it's not Mark Twain. But I only read Mark Twain Illustrated Classics as a kid, and so I was trying to do. I was trying to read some newer, or not newer, but some of the full-length stuff.
Right.
And so I came across Tom Sawyer as an audiobook, which you can subscribe to as a podcast through wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay.
And it's from a site called Loyal Books, and they take public domain audiobooks and ebooks and just put them out there. So you could search for all of these in your regular like podcast search and then subscribe. So Tom Sawyer was split up in, I don't know, I think maybe 10 or 15 episodes that were chapters 1 through 5, chapters 6 through 10, whatever. But there's a whole, I mean, there's just everything. Every classic you could think of is here. And I've tried some free audiobooks before, and they're always really like homespun and just not good quality. But the several that I've sampled on this have all been really good quality. Like the sound quality is good, the readers are good, and being able to adapt them as into the podcast player, you can speed them up, you can find all sorts of things. So I was doing a deep dive into the sci-fi section that Loyal Books has. And came across Space Prison, so it's been a lot of fun. So you can always download new hot audiobooks from Overdrive or the Libby app through your local library, the David A. Howe Public Library. But if you're looking for some older stuff or some some of this stuff is just the copyright lapsed for whatever reason, and so they snapped it up and made an audiobook out of it. So really cool. You can find it through your podcast app. You can find it at loyalbooks.com, but I encourage you to check that out for some classics.
Was that your review
of
Survivors?
Space Prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about Space Prison.
No, I know, but did you like...
I haven't finished it.
Oh,
I'm halfway
okay.
through.
I was like,
so that's my currently reading. Leia and Space Prisoners are my currently reading. I also saw the Jonas Brothers in concert. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
It was. We were saying last week. I said we're going to hip concerts, but we weren't. We were going to old man concerts. And my wife and I saw Jonas Brothers, and it was a completely different experience.
Yeah,
it was just we were the oldest people. It was screaming start to finish, but it was super fun, and I love that new album.
Nice.
Do we have that in our collection?
Yep.
Cool. All right, we'll come check it out. That's it for me.
Nice.
Should we jump over to some book news?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you know what? Play that theme.
Play that theme.
The 2019 Booker Prize, formerly the Man Booker Prize, the artist formerly known as the Man. That's not funny, is it? A Prince joke?
A little.
Does it play?
A little.
Okay. The artist formerly known as... No, I don't like it. The Man Booker Prize has condensed its name to the Booker Prize. And we're down to a short list. And here it is for your reading pleasure. The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. This is the long-awaited, I guess you might say, sequel to The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, right.
Ducks Newburyport by Lucy Ellman. This was the one that I wanted to read.
This
is on my list.
The Testaments on this short list.
That's what I just said.
Wow. No, I'm just like, that seems...
I know. I'm a little surprised by that, too. It's odd.
Yeah. This just in. My attempt to get a underground pool has been nominated for an award.
An underground. I think you say in-ground pool.
In-ground
An
pool?
underground pool sounds like.
Yeah.
It sounds
No,
like
it sounds exactly right. Sounds what I meant. She has an underground.
There's dirt above
yeah.
you, and there's a pool like a cavern.
Yeah.
That actually plays well into our Tom Sawyer talk a little bit later. Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo.
Mm-hmm.
An Orchestra of Minorities by Chigozie Obiama. Kusho by Salman Rushdie.
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes, 38 seconds in This Strange World by Elif Shafak. So that's the short list. The winner is going to be coming down. Last year's winner was Milkman, which got a lot of attention. It seemed to be pretty well received overall. So I'm interested to see what's going to win here. I don't think it's going to be a legacy author. This is my prediction. I don't think we're going to see Salman Rushdie or Margaret Atwood winning this prize.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's coming to you in a couple of months here, and we'll let you know. October 14th is the winner for that. What's on the New York Times bestseller list, my man?
All right, number 10 is The Whisper Man by Alex North.
The Whisper Man.
Serial killer's methods from 20 years ago resonate in the town of Featherbank when a young boy goes missing. Serial killers are scary, man.
They are. I agree.
Stay
away.
I've been watching season 2 of Mindhunter, and I had to stop for a little bit because it's just like I just think
too much.
Anytime, I'm just walking from the store, and somebody's
you think you could be serial killed anytime?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
I've got like avian bones. I probably can't put up much of a fight.
You have avian bones?
Yeah, I got like
Hollow?
hollow bones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. You should be careful in the wind.
Yeah, kind of like a flamingo.
Really?
Yeah. If you're wondering,
you do have very long, elegant legs.
Thank you.
Like a flamingo.
Yes.
Yep.
Number 9, Inland by Tia Oberent. The lives of a frontierswoman and a former outlaw intersect in an unforgiving climate of Arizona territory in 1893. It's gonna be hot there.
Her most recent novel.
Tia Oberent.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Tiger's Wife.
Yeah.
We did for a book club, and I hated it.
Oh.
But I was in the minority on that, so I think it was pretty popular overall.
This isn't a sequel to that. This is an
It's
original.
not. No, it's just its own thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would not want to move. I would not want to be a frontier person in Arizona.
Really? I guess Arizona, no.
Yeah.
Not with the
It's
heat.
Yep. Can't grow nothing.
Nope.
Here we go.
Yep.
I'll make a house now. Oh, no trees.
Can't do it.
All right. Just going to sit
All
down.
right, see you later.
Number
Just
8.
Sit in the shade of a cactus, make my turquoise jewels.
My apologies to the pioneers of Arizona.
Yeah, well, they're long gone.
Number 8, The Bitter Roots by C.J. Box. Minotaur Press. I like that.
Ooh,
I like to
wow.
think that to get your book fully published, you have to go through a maze, a labyrinth,
Yes.
if you will, and defeat the Minotaur.
Now, if a minotaur is behind a desk, you don't know that until they come around the desk, right? You
No,
just
the
think
Minotaur is the top part.
the minotaur is the top.
Is the bull. Is the
bull,
top part, yeah.
and the bottom part's man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
See,
think
that doesn't work as well.
A centaur would
A
surprise you.
centaur,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, I mean, I'd be surprised if a minotaur was sitting behind my desk. I would be surprised.
Yes. But you would have a quicker understanding of your situation.
Yeah,
from the
I'd be able to
get-go.
sum it up. I wouldn't have had a long conversation and then have him like clomp out
Yeah.
from behind the desk and maybe like, what the?
Yeah.
You know.
If anything, you would have
Yeah.
been less like
Don't say hoof. Don't say hoof.
sitting next to a cow.
Right.
And then when he steps out, he's like, he's a man body.
Yeah. I'm sitting next to a cow and it asked me to like pass the salt.
Yeah.
Then look out.
All right. But about the Bitter Roots, it's the 4th book in the Cassie Dewall series. The black sheep of the influential family is accused of assault.
Oh,
There you go.
the black sheep.
The Last Widow is at number 7. It's new this week, and it's by Karen Slaughter. The abduction of the abduction of a Centers for Disease Control scientist and explosions in an Atlanta neighborhood portend
You're
a
slowing it down.
massacre.
Slow. You're like an Energizer commercial over there where you've got the store brand battery in you.
Oh no.
Jump,
Store
jump,
brand won't
jump,
do it,
jump,
yeah.
jump.
You
Are
gotta get
commercials still a
Energizer.
thing? Yeah, they are.
Our commercial still a
They
thing
are,
on
yeah.
YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay.
Number 6, The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. And, I believe, oh, you know what? No, that's Turn of a Friendly Card by the Alan Parsons Family.
Oh, no.
Ruth Ware, a nanny working in a technological-laden house in Scotland, goes to jail when one of her children dies. When
By
one of the children
author
dies.
of Woman and Cabin 10.
Yeah, we talked
And
about.
other
Are you
things, other
picking this up?
things. Yeah,
Oh.
I am going to pick it up.
Number 5, The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. 2 boys respond to the horrors at a Jim Crow-era reform school in ways that impact them decades later.
Horrors.
Number 4, One Good Deed by David Baldacci. World War II veteran on parole must find the real killer in a small town or face going back to jail.
I don't know.
What was that?
Goofy premise.
I guess.
I don't know.
Number 3, The Inn by James Patterson and Candace Fox. A former Boston police detective who is now an innkeeper
I'm an innkeeper.
must shield a seaside town from a crew of criminals. Also, storms.
I'm sorry. Could you do that with a Boston accent? I'm gonna need a
I don't know if I can. I'll cut this out if I can't do
Boston
it.
accent.
A former Boston police detective who is now an innkeeper must shield a seaside town from a crew of criminals. Also, the storms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do something about Dunkin' Donuts while you're at it?
Also, get some Dunkins while you're out.
Okay, thank you. With apologies to Candace Fox, James Patterson
No, I
knows
don't know.
what he did.
I don't know. Is it in? The iced one. Yeah. Yeah.
Ordering a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Here, use my card.
Hey, what's with Dunkin' just going by Dunkin' now?
It's
Instead
simpler.
of Dunkin'. Is it simpler?
Yeah.
How is it simpler?
Nobody's ever like, hey, go to Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' what?
It's
People
just-
say Dunkin'?
Just go to Dunkin's.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not hip
New
with
England
it.
is just Dunkin's.
Well, I'm not hip with it.
yeah. It's just Dunkin's and it's just the wall.
Yeah. Well, like a Burger King just changed their name to Burger.
Yeah. Or BK.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess Kentucky Fried Chicken did that KFC thing for a
Yeah.
while. But then I think they started using real chicken again so they could use it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Don't quote me.
Stop by the Witcher, see if he wants anything.
This has been Eric's Boston accent,
Oh, boy.
everyone.
My apologies to people with real Boston accents.
Yeah, really.
The sexiest accent.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I had never been sexier than... I have not been as sexy as I was since I left the Boston area. Ever since I dropped that accent.
That seems true, but I don't.
Old Bones is at number 2 by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child.
Darn it, Jim. Different?
He is an old Bones.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
Right, yeah. Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. So an expedition into this...
green-blooded. Sorry.
Hobgoblin? An expedition into a Sierra Nevada uncovers new twist to the events involving the Donner Party.
Who?
That's a twist.
Yeah, it was.
What's going on, Doug Preston?
Yeah, Doug.
Lincoln Child.
Preston.
Number 1, Where the Crawdads Sing is by Delia Owens.
I've read it.
In a quiet town of North Carolina coast in 1969, a young woman who survived alone in the marsh becomes a murder suspect.
She sure does.
And that does not reduce anything.
I just don't think it's I don't know. I guess technically you would classify it as a mystery because that is an element of it, but it just seems like an unnecessary element. I just don't think you need it.
Right.
That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next one going to be? Any predictions? The next hot book?
I don't know.
You got it?
They just come out of nowhere.
They do.
Hey,
You're right.
This is like a debut novel.
Yeah,
so.
but like The Nightingale, for example. Kristen Hanna's been around turning out novels for years.
Oh, sure.
And suddenly people cared about her.
Right.
You know?
Apologies to Kristen Hanna.
You know what I mean? Suddenly it was like, oh, Kristen Hanna.
Yeah.
You know, before she was putting out like oversized paperbacks for moms in grocery stores. You know?
I used to live next door to her, Kristen.
Did you?
Yeah.
Hannah?
No.
Oh,
I never lived next door to her, Hannah.
really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I didn't know her sisters.
I make it a habit of not getting to know my neighbors, so. I like the Woody Allen reference. It's nice. Sorry.
Cut that out now.
Sorry.
Didn't really connect that.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about Mark Twain.
Let's do it.
All right, so this is our...
Hey, we do have an author spotlight.
Yeah.
Roll it.
All right. All right.
You never adapt to that theme.
That's true.
I
It's
like
scary.
it. I stand by it. I like it.
But I did adapt to this JTT spotlight that we were doing.
Yeah. We're going to talk about I'll Be Home for Christmas. We're going to be talking about The Lion King. Not really.
Uh-huh.
But you brought up Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and then I make Jonathan Taylor Thomas
I
jokes.
brought it
and
up
you leave
because
me
of
hanging. Tom and Huck.
Tom and
I get
Huck.
it. Okay. So, as I mentioned,
Man of the House.
Part of Chevy Chase. Wow. That must have been a good set to work on.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase is always so pleasant.
That was the first time I heard the term serial killer.
Really?
Yeah.
In that movie.
JTT's wondering if her mom's new boyfriend, Chevy Chase, is a
Is a
serial
serial
killer.
killer.
So he's like looking in an encyclopedia. He's like, well, just because he's not listed.
Yeah. He's killed a lot of happiness. All right. So we're going to be talking about Mark Twain today.
Mhm.
So I feel like
And ne'er the Mark Twains shall meet.
that's right.
Nice.
I think a lot of people know Mark Twain from his time-traveling adventure with Guinan and Captain Picard when they found Data's head in the past. Wouldn't you agree that that's the most...
That's
but
where people go to. Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that Mark Twain was actually a novelist in the 1800s. Very
Yeah.
popular, very
He-
trendy.
Not actually played by Vanilla Ice, despite what the
Right.
Ridiculous Six would have you believe.
Yeah, Adam Sandler and his friends.
Huh.
Yeah, that movie broke us. That movie broke us. Mark Twain, I feel like, is one of the... I don't know. He's one of the ones who has the most staying power in some ways. Like, it's always sort of cool to like Mark Twain, don't you think?
Hmm.
You don't think?
No?
No? Really?
I don't know. If somebody just walked in and was like, "Hey, what's up? I just finished reading some Mark Twain,"
what
I'm not gonna be like,
though.
"Oh,
It's like I guess I mean like the wit of Mark Twain is something that like is sort of a perennial
I don't know.
favorite.
I can honestly tell you that doing this podcast is the most I've thought about Mark Twain in a long, long time.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So,
I
but
guess
you're
that's
right.
fair.
People are constantly quoting the man.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, in looking at like when I was looking at Loyal books, it was like a lot of what's in the public domain is either you've never heard of the author or,
Right.
but it seems like the Mark Twain books just like boom right to the top. Like that's where the interest is. So I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
And I think it really is the wit. I think the like the irreverence that he treats these subjects with, and the way that he's sort of, I don't know, it just sort of seems like he's always kind of making fun of like everyone, like including the reader.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's always a little bit of an edge to it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get the only one I've read, like his full novel that I read would have been Huck Finn.
Okay.
And I listened to that.
Okay.
I don't know how much of like the wit was in there,
Mm.
because I guess that's supposed to be more of just like a travelogue.
I see. Yeah,
So-
I haven't read Huck Finn. All right, well
Okay.
let's start at the top.
Okay.
When did you first encounter? What's your earliest memory of Mark Twain?
It must be when I watched the Elijah Wood Huck Finn movie.
Okay.
I guess, right?
Yeah, I think it's the same for me.
Early
because
90s?
I remember like watching that in school.
Okay, I watched it at home.
I can't remember if I watched that movie before I read the illustrated classic version of Tom Sawyer.
Okay.
It's like neck and neck,
Right.
those two. It's
Is
one
that
of
the
those
one
two things.
where Huck is like, "You're my best friend," and Jim is like, "You're my only friend"?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
With
then-
Elijah Wood.
Yeah, that's the one I saw then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that's an exciting movie. I haven't watched it in many,
Yeah.
many years.
I remember being
But
really
at the
into it,
time,
yeah.
you remember he like fakes his own death?
Yeah.
Like he's with his like drunk dad, and he like puts pig's blood all over the house and escapes. Do you remember this?
No, I remember
It
him
was
being
intense.
kidnapped.
It was intense.
Oh.
Yeah. So for me, like at the time, I was like, "This is so exciting! This is
Oh,
blowing
right.
my mind." you
Yeah.
know? So I was like right in
Mm-hmm.
from there. So that was my first one of those two,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think like my favorite as a kid would have been the Brad Renfro JTT Tom and Huck movie. Did you
Brad
watch
who?
Renfro?
No.
He's Huck.
No, okay, but I don't like. I would never have known who that was.
Well, I mean, he was popular at the time. I don't think
Mhm.
I don't think he got past like child star status.
Okay, yeah. Was
Not
he in
that
Wild
JTT
America?
has,
with
but
JTT?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Should we say that we're talking about Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Yeah,
No.
we're talking about Jonathan
Taylor
yeah.
Thomas and Tom
Maybe
and Huck.
JTT isn't as ubiquitous as it was
Maybe
in the
not.
90s.
Maybe not.
So
What are some other early ones?
I had Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer illustrated classics at home,
Okay.
but I never read them.
Okay.
I remember just kind of browsing through them and being like, maybe,
Mhm.
maybe, but then I just never did. There was something that I remember reading a little bit of Tom Sawyer as a kid and kind of getting into it, and Huck Finn was in there and everything. I'm like, I don't know, he's just at home.
Yeah.
So I don't think I ever got into those when I was a kid.
I was always more interested in Huck Finn. I think just because of that
Yeah.
Elijah Wood
It's
movie.
more of an
but-
adventure.
But I still haven't read even the illustrated classic of that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not super familiar with that story outside of the movie.
Right.
I've seen many versions of Prince and the Pauper.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, you know what? I read that
you did?
as a child. I read the illustrated classic.
Okay.
I completely forgot that was
I
him.
don't think I did read the illustrated classic, but I remember very distinctly the Mickey Mouse version.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember Mickey?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why I read Prince of the Pauper.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's very long.
yeah.
So
Even the illustrated?
no, probably not the illustrated
Okay.
one. It's not very long.
So, no, I haven't read the adult version of Prince of the Pauper, but I did read that as a kid.
Did you ever watch a kid in King Arthur's Court?
I
think it's the kid
the
from Major
baseball
League.
kid.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
Major
I
League.
did. I watched the kids in King Arthur Court. Okay.
What
Yeah.
about the
Jeez.
what's his name? I keep thinking Martin Short, but Martin Lawrence, the Martin Lawrence Black Knight. Have you seen that
No,
one?
I haven't seen Black Knight.
Okay. I haven't seen either of those movies. I did.
Oh, you didn't see a kid in King
No, I
Arthur
don't
Court?
think I don't have any memory of
It's
seeing
pretty
that.
dumb.
I imagine it would
It
be,
does not
yeah.
hold up as like how some people will be like Rookie of the Year and
Yeah.
Angels in the Outfield. Like Kid in King Arthur's Court does not hold up.
Okay.
So I remember at one point he just keeps pulling stuff out of his backpack. I'm like, you just went to baseball practice.
Yeah.
What, you brought everything.
Yeah.
He invents like the bicycle.
Gilligan's Island situation.
Yeah,
Going
yeah,
on a
very
3-hour
much.
tour while he got 40
So,
costume changes.
yeah.
Ginger, you know.
Yeah.
Really, the Howells had a lot of clothes. Ginger kind of wore that same filmy dress all the time.
Right.
Which in the heat, I don't think would be very comfortable.
Sure.
But that's not what we're talking about. But we could do a Gilligan's Island spotlight if you're open to it.
Yeah. Get me the novelizations.
I will. Thank you for that. Did you ever watch the cartoons, Gilligan's?
Oh my goodness.
It's not the time.
No,
You're
yeah.
right. It's not the time. I feel that. I don't think so. I don't think I've seen those movies. But when I was, I don't know, in my early 20s, my friend Bo, past podcast guest, Bo Hutchings, the Nutcracker, #Bo, he was working at this theater in Coldwater, Michigan called Tibbetts Opera House.
Okay.
And they were doing this season where they did Camelot, which is, serious and lofty, and Camelot, and they wanted to do a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, the musical, which I don't think, even now, I don't think you can get the rights to that. I think it's in this like weird dormant place where you can't, because I guess it's not very good. Like, it's pretty rough. And so it was just never super popular. I think that Rodgers and Hammerstein holds the rights to that. I don't exactly remember who did that. But anyway, the point is, Tibbetts Opera House had gotten special, like, written permission from Rodgers and Hammerstein's to do a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, the musical, to kind of bookend their season with that in Camelot. Okay. So Bo and I went to see that, and I think that was one of the very few times in, like, recent years where you could actually have seen this full stage production. And it wasn't very good. There are some memorable songs that sort of became pop standards. But it's
pop standards
of the day, like not today, like Frank Sinatra kind of, things. But anyway,
is that where Funny Valentine comes from?
I don't think so. That's Babes in Arms. Anyway, no, I lost my train of thought. So the plot of that basically is he's stuck back there, and they think that he's like, I don't know. I think they're gonna like kill him basically, and he knows that the eclipse is coming. So he's trying to like, I could do magic and blot out the sun. So leave me alone. So that's kind of funny. And he's not like precise about it. So he ends up doing this really long thing with like magic words, and it's kind of a dumb play, but the premise is fun, and it was enjoyable enough. And I'm glad to have seen it on stage. But then that was kind of it. I feel like for a long time, I hadn't really seen. I know there's some modern adaptations of Tom Sawyer and different
Tom
things,
and Huck. I feel
no,
like
there is.
Oh, you're like you said, Black Knight.
Yeah, no, but there is one with Supergirl. Melissa Benoist is in one where she plays Becky in a recent adaptation of Tom Sawyer. But
really,
anyway, yeah, and there's also a cartoon from 2000.
What?
I know. I was gonna watch that with my son over the weekend, and I watched the trailer, and I was like, "Oh, this is creepy." I could tell this is gonna be creepy. Okay. So we didn't end up doing it.
Right.
But that was it for a long time.
Murdered in Tom and Huck.
Yeah.
Guy falls down a well at the end.
Yeah.
In a giant cave.
Pretty serious.
Yeah.
Pretty serious stuff.
Scary.
I remember in Tom Sawyer, like Tom and Becky trapped in the cavern at the end. Terrifying.
Scare you?
It
really?
was, yeah. I mean, it was so intense.
Claustrophobic?
I had to know what was. I'm always fascinated by that kind of thing, like Journey to the Center of the Earth or something where they're like, just underground.
No, thank you.
I know.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like it. I went to Mammoth Cave once in Kentucky, I think it is.
Oh.
And, you go down in the caverns, and they turn the lights off at one point and say, like, this is the darkest you'll ever see. But it always made me think of, like, that scene in Tom Sawyer where they're just, like, trapped down there and they can't see anything.
Goodness.
It's crazy. Scary. You weren't scared by it?
By Tom and Huck?
Yeah.
No.
What about when you read the book? Oh, you didn't read the book.
Right.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what.
Maybe in the book.
It was pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I think the first as an adult thing that I sat down to really read was A Horse's Tale. And that is...
Wow, okay.
That is by...
Mark
Twain. By Mark Twain, yes. But, I mean, it's about Buffalo Bill's horse.
Right.
Soldier Boy.
Uh-huh.
And about half of it is narrated by Soldier Boy.
Right.
And if all of it was narrated by Soldier Boy, I would say that was really good. That was really fun. Anytime somebody other than the horse was telling the story, I was like, can you get the horse? Bring back the horse.
Sure.
That one I thought was a good example of the whip because he's very, like, prideful and, like, has this like skewed view of Buffalo Bill and thinks he's just, like, amazing. And so that's sort of fun. I think that's a good play on the times. But that goes to a really, like, dark and tragic place and becomes sort of a commentary on bullfighting. But I think
what?
Yes, but I think more than just bullfighting. It's sort of like I think it's kind of a takedown on just sort of like the voyeuristic tendencies of like society as a whole. Yeah, and so like. It starts in a really whimsical, you're reading about this like arrogant horse, and then it becomes this like dark and upsetting conversation about like the grosser parts of man. Yeah. So I think like the wit was really present there whenever the horse was talking, but when it got down in that deep message, it was like yowza.
Yeah.
What about you? What are some of the things that you've read?
So it would have been like right after college, I had signed up for Audible. I think I had like a free trial. And so I grabbed like one of the free things. I was like, I'll listen to Huck Finn.
Yeah.
Read by Elijah Wood because I
That's
remember
cool.
liking that
Right,
movie.
yeah.
Long book.
Is that edited at all?
No.
Or does
No, it is
Elijah
not.
Wood is just saying all of the...
Yep.
Wow.
He's reading the text.
That's an interesting debate that we don't have to get into
Right.
right now in this
Yeah.
podcast. We're not
I can tell you I didn't
we're not
turn my
qualified to
radio
do
up
that,
that
but
loud
yeah, I
when I
know.
realized what it was.
Yeah.
By the end, by like the last third or fourth of the book, there was a while I'm like, this is the end of the book, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it just kept going. And that's when I first used the ×2 speed.
yeah.
I'm like, just get to the end of this.
Get there.
I was ready to be done.
Okay.
At times it was I got really into it, and other times I was like, I should just watch the movie
Yeah.
again. So I didn't really dig it. I read some of the short stories.
Okay.
I read The 5 Boons of Life by
Okay.
Mark Twain. This is about a man. He gets to choose these gifts that a fairy is bringing him.
Okay.
One is like precious, the others are whatever. And he's like, I know what it is. And it's like love, power, money, and something else.
That's only 2. Well,
Love,
3.
power,
2
money, death, and fame.
Death is a boon of happiness?
Fame is the other one.
Fame. The movie Fame?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
They
live
give him a copy of Fame.
forever.
And so he keeps choosing them, and they're all wrong. And Love also is one of the wrong ones. He's
Oh.
like, oh, everyone I loved is dead
What a
now.
twist.
It turns out it was death. But
Really?
the fairy wouldn't give it to him.
Spoiler alert.
So he's miserable.
Did you like it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, what's it about? I mean,
That's it.
It's just-
he just goes off.
is it about like greediness? Like, what do you think that?
I don't know, because at the end, death is the precious one.
Huh.
And so it's just wanting to die because life sucks.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, it really is just like, I'll choose fame. He goes off. He's like, fame was great, and then everything fell apart. Money was great, and then everything fell apart. It
So
was
it's like-
weird.
so it's like a parable.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. It would have fit more with Pilgrim's Progress, but I did not like it. I also
I do
read,
like Pilgrim's Progress.
Oh, that's not by Mark Twain.
No, John Bunyan.
I read Luck by Mark Twain.
Yes.
That's about just like this big dumb idiot who gets to be like a war hero because he's just lucky.
Yeah.
And the guy at the end is like, wouldn't it be great to be lucky? I read Edward. What is this one?
I didn't know this was going to be a roast of Mark Twain.
I read What Stumped the Blue Jays by Mark Twain.
What was it?
So this is somebody who can like talk to animals, but he doesn't talk to.
If I could
He's
talk
telling people he can talk to animals,
to
and
the
he's saying
animals.
what they are like, and he's talking about blue jays have the best conversations, but they can also start swearing. And it's really just a story about blue jays putting an acorn in a hole of a tree and wondering where it went. And so a bunch of blue jays just
were they foul-mouthed blue jays?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
And so they keep a bunch of blue jays just keep showing up and laughing and trying to figure out what the deal is, and then it turns out that it's a chimney
I see.
of a house.
Yeah.
And that's how fun it is to talk to blue jays.
Huh.
But then I read, this is the funny one, Edward Mills and George Benton, A Tale by Mark Twain.
Okay.
This is the story
Mark
of two people. One is basically the good and faithful son who stays at home and does everything right and stays virtuous. And one is basically the prodigal son who goes off and
From the Bible.
lives a
Mark Twain loved the Bible.
He lives a deplorable life and everything.
Right.
But the way the story turns out is it shows you that being the honest, hardworking one kind of sucks, and you're always going to fall behind and be second to the prodigal son because
I believe that's the plot of the film Booksmart.
Is it?
Kind of.
Basically, like the one who is who's working hard and everything, his life just is harder. He gets married, but he gets married to his second choice because the first choice decides to marry the ne'er-do-well and hoping to fix him and everything. So the guy's like, oh, well, I guess I'll marry Jeanette then. And
that was not the sexiest accent.
and so like he just has a hard life. He starts running out of money, but he has to stop paying dues to all these like honorable societies, and
Okay.
he dies and is miserable. And on his tombstone ends in ... because nobody finished it for him. So it's like a life of virtue and everything. Meanwhile, everybody keeps trying to save George and make him
prodigal
better.
son.
Yeah, the prodigal son character, even though he keeps gambling and all this other stuff. They keep trying to help him. And, you know, the good one got murdered because he wouldn't let people rob from his boss's money box and everything. And George is just like on the stand, and people like, you know, pardon him and we'll help him and everything. And so he just lives a better life.
You seem delighted by this tale.
Listen, I am the oldest of 4.
Uh-huh.
If you don't think that I've seen the prodigal son get new sneakers when I was the one behaving, then, you know, So
this
yeah,
is
I
very
read that. I was
personal.
like, yeah.
Very personal to you.
Yeah. So I don't want to be murdered because somebody's trying to steal your money box. I'd
Right.
give them your money box.
Right.
If they held
You would give them my money.
if
box.
they held a knife up to me, I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'd be okay with
Yeah,
that.
Nick is probably insured.
Preserve your life.
Yeah.
Preserve your life.
Meanwhile, yeah.
So this one did it for you.
Meanwhile, my brother's just screaming and burning things, and
Right.
everybody's like, let's take him out to lunch.
Give him new shoes.
Yeah.
Give him new shoes. All right, so this was,
I'm putting newspapers
was
around
aces
elastic
for you.
bands so I can
see
get
that's
50
I guess
cents
that's
in
what
debt.
I mean when I say that he's that he's kind of a perennial favorite, because that
Yeah.
right there, I mean, that's kind of a universal
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like most people can relate to that
Yeah.
sort of thing. I think also Mark Twain survives a lot in his quotability.
That's
you know,
true,
there's just
yeah.
an endless supply of Mark Twain quotes
Yeah.
that are these perfect little one-line zingers.
Listen, I have a YouTube, and I've been
I'm aware,
I've been putting videos on YouTube since like 2006 or
Early adapter.
5 or something.
Early
Yeah.
adapter over here, pioneer.
So
Not an Arizona pioneer.
but I haven't put like new material on there in a while. But recently somebody found out I was streaming and found me on Twitter. It was like, oh, I didn't realize you were still around. It's good to see you're still producing stuff and whatnot. And I was like,
That's so cool.
The news of my demise or news
Yeah.
of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
It's Mark Twain quote.
Right there.
So there you go.
In your own personal life.
In my own. Yep.
What are you going to do?
Look at that. That's 2 things I can bring closer.
I know.
So
You did it.
yeah.
Well, we put this question out on Facebook just to kind of get a sense of where people were.
Why did, and maybe I already asked you this,
Okay.
but why did Mary-Kate and Ashley never team up for a movie with JTT?
Huh.
Why
I thought
was-
you were going to say, why didn't they do a Prince and the Pauper?
Yeah,
Because
that's a good one too.
Right there, you've got it.
Yeah.
I don't think those ages line up.
No?
I think JTT's older.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just kids. Yeah, all right.
Sorry.
All right. Well, today they should do one.
I think you're right.
That's a powerhouse right
I
there.
agree.
All right. Yeah,
I
Sue on
absolutely agree.
Facebook says they first came to know Mark Twain and asked him into their heart. I don't know where I'm going. About age 8. Huck Finn was their favorite.
Okay. Yeah, Huck Finn. I mean, I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the movie. Or here's the thing.
I'm surprised Disney doesn't have a version of Huck Finn that they have to keep trapped in the vault.
That's true. That's true. There's a Mickey Rooney, Tom Sawyer. There's a few other
yeah.
old school versions. Got a lot of. I'm just gonna pick a couple here.
Oh.
Deb also on Facebook says, as a child, Huck Finn, of course, was my first love. First in a book, then in a movie with Jodie Foster as Becky. Isn't it Becky with Tom Sawyer?
I think so.
I always confuse because they interact. Like
Mm.
Tom and Huck are in all of those
Yeah.
books, so it's very confusing. Let's see. I think we had a couple others here that mentioned.
Yeah,
Huck Finn.
Sharon
Yeah, quite a few.
says, nope, that's a different one.
Yeah.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Yeah, Tom Sawyer, I guess, is
Tom Sawyer was
taking the lead
7
here.
for Tam.
yeah.
Sharon says, the first Mark Twain story that I remembered was the celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County.
Yeah.
And that's a short story as well, but that one I did not read.
No, I haven't read that either. That's in his first collection of books. There's a let me read a little quote here from that book. It's about a gambler, basically,
Okay.
a gambler named Jim Smiley. If he even seen a straddle bug start to go anywheres, he would bet you how long it would take him to get to wherever he's going to. And if you look him up, he would follow the I can't. It's in dialect. I can't do it. So you can just snip that out. But yeah, that's from his first collection of short stories, Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, and other sketches in magazines and different things like that. But yeah, I haven't read that one. I haven't read that one either.
Okay.
There's another one in here that I wanted to pull. That was one that I
Somebody said Big River.
Big River. That's exactly
Becky
the
says
one.
Big River the musical.
Yeah. Now, I'm not familiar with. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen the cover of that a million times, and I
Okay.
guess I sort of knew it was an adaptation of Huck Finn, but it's like a bluegrass adaptation, which is. I mean, it won Tony Awards for Best Musical, Best Book, Best Score.
Okay.
I don't think it's one that's had a ton of revivals, but popular in its day, and the soundtrack still circulates pretty regularly. There was a 2003 revival that did win a Tony Award. So
Okay.
yeah.
Huh.
So let's talk a little bit about
Miss Music Box on the stream has pointed out that Mary-Kate and Ashley did The Prince and the Pauper. It's called It Takes Two. It Takes Two.
Oh,
It's an adaptation of Prince and the Pauper.
do they switch places in It Takes Two?
Don't they switch places in all their movies?
I didn't think they switched their places. I thought that was more like I don't think that is a true Prince of the Pauper. I think that's more a take on a Parent Trap. But I don't want to get
But
in a
is it
fight.
a Parent Trap kind of Prince and the Pauper?
No.
Well, I mean,
because they're
yeah.
both like on the same level.
Right.
Prince and the Pauper switch places totally.
Uh-huh.
One lives as a prince who was formerly a pauper. I don't think that's the case in It Takes Two. Great movie. I love Steve Guttenberg. So thank you, Miss Music Box, for that.
Is that Gutenberg?
Yeah, it's Guttenberg.
Okay.
Gutenberg and Kirstie Alley.
Oh, nice.
Post Cheers, Kirstie Alley. Post Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, Kirstie Alley.
Yeah. Post Star Trek Search for Spock, Steve Gutenberg.
He's not in it. He's not in it. But that was directed by Leonard Nimoy, who also directed Three Men and a Baby, starring Steve Guttenberg. So we did it. Tom Sawyer is the one that I read as an adult.
Okay.
And here's why I think.
I read Huck Finn as an adult.
Well, look at that.
Yeah.
Here's why I think that those have such staying power and why they were such a hit in the beginning. I think when you look at other things that were geared towards children around that time, you look at like Peter Pan. So like Peter Pan's kind of rascally, the Darling kids are all like buttoned up and Peter, and even like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe, they're all very like proper, well-behaved kids.
Right.
And even like Peter Pan's sort of rough around the edges. Wendy's always trying to like mother him and all that sort of thing.
Right, sure.
But I think like Tom and Huck are both just unapologetically like
latchkey kids.
Bad kids who are just like
running
gonna get
away
into trouble, who are just disappointing people that care about them and just don't care. They're just gonna do whatever they want, And I think probably at the time that was particularly refreshing. And I think, because of that, they've just always kind of held this place of being like the original, like rascally kind of character.
They're the original Little Rascals.
Yeah, that's right.
Tom, Huck,
thank you. Yeah.
Oliver.
Peter Pan, I guess.
Yep.
Throw in Peter Pan. Oliver's another case, though, because Oliver, again, was such a nice
he's
little
a
proper kid
sad little one,
in a bad situation. And I think that was the norm. So to have protagonists be children with the novel aimed towards like kids and young adults and have them just be like bad seeds, I think is, kind of revolutionary at the time, and it's the reason why they've stuck around so long.
I also like the Tom Sawyer bit in Futurama. When they're going in the books, the giant brains are there, and they're chasing Fry through the books, and they go to Tom Sawyer, and the big brain is painting the white fence, and he's like, "Tom, this is not as fun as you initially said it would be."
Yeah,
so that was funny.
Yeah, I like Tom Sawyer. I think that like that was one where it was kind of it ebbs and flows. Like when he's out doing stuff, when he's like tricking the kids into painting the fence, which he does so expertly.
Right.
The stuck in the caverns, which in the illustrated classic, it's a much shorter scene. Whereas in the full length novel, they're in there. They go like 5 miles under those things.
No, thank you.
They're lost for
5 miles under
for days in that thing.
It isn't like
scary times.
What part of the deepest ocean? Just like 7 miles?
No, not down.
Oh,
they're just in a cavern system, and they walk for like the equivalent.
Oh,
of
it's a 20,000 leagues under the seas being distant kind of thing.
Yeah, they're not burrowing straight down to the center of the earth. No.
Okay.
But that being said,
are you sure, Tom?
I was bored with Tom Sawyer, like in the more boring parts,
right?
Where he's just kind of like living his life and following the rules. It's like, well, okay, but can't you go like throw a stone through a window or something? So
you want like you're more Dennis the Menace.
I guess,
you think,
give me a Dennis the Menace.
You think there's a through line where you get from Tom Sawyer to Dennis the Menace. Dennis the Menace is the Tom Sawyer for today.
Absolutely. I think you got it. I think you got it.
Today's kids.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
You have experience with Mark Twain pretty much your whole life.
I guess, yeah.
And lately you've
I'm
gone
sure there was
through
stuff in Muppet Babies.
You've revisited some of the short stories. Is this an author that you're going to continue to read? Like, do you have any interest to read more?
I think there's a part of me that's always been like, I should read a Connecticut Yankee, and also Prince of the Pauper. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
So you're not turned off?
No.
By his writing?
I'm just, I just, from after listening to that Huck Finn, I've just been like, I can't do it again. But
well, I think there's no way to get around like a dated style.
Yeah.
And while I think most
maybe
of the
listening to it isn't
dialogue
the best way
and most of the turn of phrase, I think really, still feel fresh and still feel cool. But it is still, it's presented in a way that is, dated. I don't think there's really any way around that. So, if you're cool with that, then I think, Daddy-o.
What's colder than cool?
What?
Ice cold. Ice like vanilla ice.
Vanilla Ice has Mark Twain as a ridiculous 6. All right.
That fell apart.
I think I would still like to read Huck Finn after Tom Sawyer. I was going to just turn right around and get the audiobook for Huck Finn, but I needed a break.
I would not suggest listening to it.
Right. That's right.
It's just long.
That's
right. You just start to fall asleep. when somebody's reading something from the 1800s.
Yeah.
It's hard not to. But if you can read it on your own, it's probably
Yeah,
a better time.
That's true. That's true. Well, I think that it's also it's easier to roll with what's going on when you're reading it versus an audiobook where you're hearing like every single word audible.
Yeah.
You can't just kind of power through. So yeah, that's a good thought. That's a good thought. Well, thanks to all of our listeners who sent feedback. Sorry we didn't get to everybody, but we always appreciate when you send feedback.
Yeah, we do.
Which you can do at David A. Howe Public Library on Facebook, All the Book Show on Twitter. You can send us an email at what's the All the Books email? allthebookshow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, you can rate and review on iTunes or anywhere that you get your podcast. We certainly appreciate that. You can share with all your friends. And you can come see Mike Randall as Mark Twain here at the David A. Howe Public Library on Friday, September 6th. Any other library news you want to share?
No.
Okay. Bold choice.
Batman?
It's a bold. That's true.
Batman Day.
Batman Day is coming up, so that is September 21st. We have a few events planned for that weekend. So the first, we're doing our very first graphic novel book club where we're going to be discussing Frank Miller's Batman Year One.
And then we're showing the animated adaptation of Batman Year One.
The very next day on September 21st, which is
Batman Day.
Batman Day.
Yeah.
Doing a 3 o'clock matinee showing of that on the 21st. And you can join us for the book club. We'll have lots of copies available here at the library. Yeah. The other book clubs are currently reading Like Water for Chocolates. Oh. That is our Around the World book club focusing on authors from Mexico. The meeting for that is October 1st. And we're doing a special banned books book club on September 26th where we're reading The Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
I have never read The Catcher in the Rye.
Me either.
So I'm excited about doing that. I hope you'll join us for that. We'll have that's also History Week.
You should do a
we'll have
ban book week where you read books about bands.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Or a van books week where we only read books that
take place in vans.
Take place with a van as a central part.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you like that
Mr.
idea?
Mercedes?
No, I don't think because that's a Mercedes.
What's the ice cream one?
The ice cream one?
Yeah, the ice cream. The guy's an ice cream truck driver.
Oh yeah.
Killer.
Finders Keepers, I think?
Yeah, Finders Keepers?
Yeah, I love Finders Keepers. Yeah, I'd happily read
Christine?
that. Yeah, that's
Christine's not a van.
Again, not a van, but I guess car themed you could stick with, and I think that'd be easier.
So it's a car book week.
We've got some. Do you have any plans for next week's episode? Do you know what we're going to talk about next week?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
So we'll see. But
it's a mystery.
We do have an author interview coming up with comic book legend Steve Englehart. We're going to be talking mostly about Batman because of Batman Day, but I'm going to get some Green Lantern questions in there as well. So send us any questions you have for Steve Englehart to the address that we mentioned. All the Book Show on Twitter, allthebookshow@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and that's going to do it for this week. We'll see you next time. Did we do Mark Twain justice? Do you think?
Did we do Mark V. Twain, Dawn of Justice?
I still say it's more Parent Trap than Prince and the Pauper.
It Takes Two.
Yeah, It Takes Two.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was very mad at you.
Well,
of course they switched places.
I think she's wrong. I don't think it really is. Yeah.
Calm down.
If you know what, if this is a challenge for us all to watch It Takes Two, starring Steve Guttenberg
and Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Watching a Mary.
I will
Kate
do
and
it.
Alley. Mary Kate. I said Mary Kate and Alley. I'm not watching a Mary Kate
and Alley was a show. All right, I have to go to a book club.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
It takes two to make a thing all right.